Hey everybody, I just wanted to show you a few of the things that I will teach you how to do as part of the Livestream Jumpstart package to up your video game, as it were. Whether you're doing it for live streaming or for recording. And I'm using the technology that I'm talking about teaching to do this entire video in real time with no post-production editing of any kind. It used to be if you wanted to do a video like this, you'd first record on a green screen, and then you'd get all your graphic elements in place, and then you'd sit down at a video editing program and you'd spend the day rendering various graphic elements and taking out the green screen and putting in the background and all of that. It's a very time-consuming process, and that is not necessary anymore. So if you're in the product creation space at all, or you've been wanting to, or maybe you have information that you'd like to deliver over a series of videos, whether it's live or pre-recorded, this technology and what you learn in the Livestream Jumpstart will teach you that. So let's just go over some of the basics. Obviously, background changing, that's pretty standard, right? I can go, outside and be in the snow, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? But having a background that actually looks good and not just some weird color or a flat background. I mean, you can do things that are just a regular flat background if you want to, and they're just not as interesting. And this just looks more engaging. So we've got all sorts of options for backgrounds, and you can choose whatever you'd like. I teach you how to use whatever you'd like and then how to change it whenever you'd like. So using this particular background allows me to do certain other things. Like, for example, that graphic in the background can be changed out to a video or whatever I want it to be. So again, that's just like if you're presenting on something and you want to show a video, you could show it this way, or show a slide, or show whatever, in sort of a more interesting way. So these are all sort of green screen background type of things. But it's not just about replacing the background. We've got other graphical elements going on here too. We've got things like lower thirds. And this right here, my little floating logo, this microphone that you see here is also a floating graphic. And I can change out and put any kind of graphic on top, in front of me that I want to. And I can change out the lower thirds completely into a completely different style. Or if I'm doing a teaching of any kind and I've got particular points, like, how do you use the law of attraction? Well, you got to know these principles. And principle number one is vision. You got to know your vision. So you can present that type of thing. Again, you can do this live, or if you're recording a series. This is all stuff you used to have to do in post-production, which take a lot of time, or if you didn't know how to do it, you have to go pay somebody. So Livestream Jumpstart is about you learning how to do all of this stuff so that you don't have to pay anybody, and it's push button easy once it's set up. If you do PowerPoint or keynotes or any sort of presentation, you could be in the corner. You could still do your presentation like you always do, slide by slide by slide, but you can be sitting down here in the corner doing whatever you want to do, keeping eye contact basically, so that instead of you losing them to the slides, you're maintaining eye contact. It keeps the connection. It's just a more interesting and engaging way to share slides. So there's other things besides just images and video that you can bring into the background. One of the other interesting things that I like to do when I'm doing a broadcast is bring on people's comments if I'm broadcasting live on Facebook. And the way that I do that is I actually take my iPad and share the image. See, so it's floating here in front of me like it's some sort of holographic comments board. I think it's cool, a lot more cooler than my audience, but the point is that we can do it, okay? But another interesting option for using your iPad, which I've done for some other people, is to use it sort of like a whiteboard. If you're used to presenting and drawing on a whiteboard and tearing out the pieces of paper when you're on stage, why not use your iPad, if I can find it, use your iPad and just any sort of doodle program, right? So that you can just do your message right up there. This particular one, you can take pictures or bring in an image. Whatever software, whatever program you've got on your app, you can mirror it onto as part of your presentation or your recording. And it just adds a whole other cool element, but it's also very, very practical and saves you a ton of time. So there's several different ways, several different software packages that will allow you to do things like this. And I deal with 3 that I help people with, and they range from prices from free all the way up to several $100s. So what we would do is we would talk about, well, what are your needs? What do you want to do with your live stream? We'll talk about the various software options you have, because I'm not attached to which software option you use at all. It's whatever you want that will do what you want it to do. And then the other thing that we need to make sure of before we move forward is that your computer will handle it. Because if you're working with like an older computer with maybe a lower end graphics card or a lower end CPU, it may not handle all of this real-time processing that a broadcast or a recording like this takes. So we're going to make sure before moving forward that everything you need, you have. And of course, there's other little equipment that we would talk about. Do you have the right microphone? Do you have the right webcam? What about the lights? And what are your green screens? So we talk about all of your needs. So we determine that you do, in fact, have everything you need. And then we'll talk about, well, all right, what fun are we going to have with your show? Then I will create the show for you in the software of your choice, and I'll record myself every step of the way, showing you what I'm doing and explaining why I'm doing it, so that when you want to make changes, change out a graphic, change out a video, change a color, add new scenes, whatever, you know how to do that, right? So then I train you on exactly how to do it, and then you're off and running. But before we do any of that, we have to make sure that you've got the equipment that will handle it. So there's a form at the bottom of this page. It's so simple. Your first name, your email address, and then what is your sort of current vision for your recording needs. If you don't know, that's okay. We can certainly talk about it. When I get that message from you, I'll get back in touch with you. You'll get an email that talks about some of the how to find out whether or not your computer is ready for the various software. And then we'll schedule a conversation. We'll have the conversation. Then we're off and running. Also, the details of different pricing, all of that's in the email that you'll get when you fill out the form below. So check it out. I'm looking forward to working with you and helping you up level your video game.